Good day guys, and welcome back to another video. In today's video we are going to do an edit inside of LumaFusion with some GoPro Hero 10 footage. The footage is 5.3K, it's shot in 60 FPS, so we're gonna make that sort of slow motion styled video. And we're gonna do color grading, we're gonna add some music, some sound effects, and this video is also sponsored by Epidemic Sound, so make sure to grab your free sound effects today by using the link down in the description below, and you can use these for 30 days of free usage. You can use these sound effects free for 30 days without getting a copyright claim. That also goes for the music, so make sure to check out that link in the description below. There's also going to be some footage down there in a Google Drive link, footage from the GoPro Hero 10 5.3K 60, so you can grab that as well. Grab the 30-day free trial from Epidemic Sound and the footage, and then follow along and do your own type of color grading to the GoPro Hero 10 5.3K footage as well if you want to do that. This is not going to be like a tutorial. It's sort of a tutorial, but this is, you know, the way that I edit my videos like this in LumaFusion, and I'm just gonna run you through the process. We're gonna color grade together, add the sequence together, and then I'm not sure if you're gonna finish everything, but we're gonna try. And if it's not gonna be finished, then I make sure to upload the finished edit as a separate video, so you can see what we started on together, and then I finished up by myself, and yeah, it's gonna be epic. And we're gonna try to make the GoPro Hero 10 footage as cinematic as possible, even though we're limited here in LumaFusion. It's still going to be interesting to see. Now with that said, let's head over to the iPad here, and let's start creating some cinematic footage. And I'm also going to run you through the different things of why I'm changing this and why I'm changing that when it comes to editing this sequence. So just, you know, grab a cup of coffee and join me, because I think this video is going to be a little bit longer than the average one. But now let's move over to the iPad. Yes. So the first thing that I have done is to take all the different footage from the micro SD card on the GoPro Hero 10, and I plugged it into something like this Satechi multi-hub here, which is also plugged into a charging cable, so I can, you know, charge the iPad simultaneously. So the SD card into the multi-hub here together with the Samsung T5, and I just transferred all the footage over to the Samsung T5, because you can actually, if you want, edit off, you know, a micro SD card, but it's super slow. It's super slow. Even though if you have a fast one, it's going to be super slow. So I moved everything over to the Samsung T5. Let's head over to LumaFusion, and if we go over to the source or over to files here, and we're gonna find the Samsung T5 here, and I've already made a folder which is going to be Hero 10 5.3K. So here we have all the different shots that I captured with the GoPro Hero 10 in a 5.3K at 60 FPS, and let's just start importing some clips here over to the timeline. So we have a few here, early morning shots, and we have the sun coming in here. This actually looked quite good. So I'm just gonna trim this a tiny bit. Usually I don't trim it here in the trim section or preview screen here. I just drag the entire clip over to LumaFusion or over to the timeline first, and then I go through the clips and cut it that way, because for me, for some reason, that is faster, just getting everything over to the timeline and then start to trimming it down. Let's just move through. I don't want to use this. So we're going to start with a down up shot here, and I want that to be this tree here. So here I used the horizon leveling when I was recording this, and it just didn't look good at all. So I think I have another one here which is without, and that is going to be this one right here. Looks nice. So I'm just gonna take that and drag over to the timeline here and just find an in and out point. So I want this to start here and go to the end here. Maybe I don't want it to be that long, so cut it around there. And just gonna go into edit here and just slow this down to 40% right away. And since this is now recorded in 60 FPS, and the timeline, if I didn't say that already, is you can see right here, the timeline is 24 FPS. So this is shot in 60 FPS, but the timeline is 24 FPS. That means we can slow it down to 40%. And you can also see here inside of LumaFusion that you have this these two lines here, or two dots, which is the indication of how far you can slow down the clip here. So we can just tap on the dots here and the slider will move to that point. And we now have this clip here at 40% speed, as you also can see here on the clip on the timeline. So if we do a playback of this now, we can see it's super smooth and we have the slow motion and there's no shakes to it at all. Now this, I believe, was shot with the boost on, or just a standard linear stabilization, and then just handheld slow movement. There is a video, a behind the scenes video coming soon as well, but I wanted to do this first so you can, once you see that behind the scenes video, then you already know the process of editing a video together in LumaFusion and make it super crisp and nice and look really good. So then you can just take the footage that you capture and just take it into LumaFusion and start editing your video right away without thinking about how to do this and how to do that. So that's also one of the reasons that I wanted to do this now before we actually do the behind the scenes of the different shots here. So now we have the first one here. We could color grade this right away, but I want to get everything over to the timeline first. So we're gonna do a couple of clips here, and the next one is gonna be this one. So we're gonna take that, drag it over to the timeline. You can see the sun is coming out here behind the tree there. So I want to have that in the clip as well. So deleting that first part, and I'm just gonna go to the point right here. You can see we have some downward movements here, and I basically stop recording at this point here. So we're gonna stop it there, make a cut and delete the last part. And we're gonna make this clip slow motion as well. So now we have two clips in slow motion. So if we play back the last one here, you can see how smooth and nice that actually is. And this is all handheld, so slowing down the clips as well will definitely make it look smoother, because you apply that sort of fake stabilization to it by adding slow motion. Now if this was a little bit too shaky, we could add some stabilization as well, but we have some other clips that we're going to apply some stabilization to as well. So we're going to go through that process as well. Let's take another one here. I think this one is a good one, or maybe this one. So both of them actually. We're going to take this and drag over to the timeline and go to the beginning here. So just scrub through. We also had the sun, and we're gonna stop it right there. Go to the beginning and just make a cut. And we're gonna slow down this as well. So now we have 3 clips here on the timeline, and I'm gonna stop it right there. Let's find another one here, which is let's see if we can find one which is a little bit shaky. So if we play that one, this one is a little bit shaky, so we're gonna take that over to the timeline as well and go to the beginning here. And if we now play this through, you can see we have some different movements to it. It's a little bit shaky, it doesn't look that great, so we're gonna just go to this point right here, make a cut, and right here make another cut. And if we slow this down now, you can actually see that there is The clip is a lot smoother already, even though this is handheld, but there's still some wiggling from left to right. So I'm gonna cut this a little bit more, and let's add some stabilization to this clip here. So the stabilization button is down here. I'm gonna tap on that, and we can now apply the lock and load stabilization from Core Melt, and this will track the dominant motion and apply the stabilization, and you can adjust the overall strength of the stabilization here under the with the slider here under the overall strength. So I'm gonna keep this at, I don't know, just gonna keep it at 70, and then go down to advanced strength here, and here you can actually adjust the horizontal, vertical, and rotational here. So we have some vertical. I'm gonna add a tiny bit of that. Rotational, I'm not sure if we had so much rotational, but anyway, so the clip is now stabilized, and let's go through it, and we can see it definitely looks a little bit better. So now we added 4 clips to the timeline. Let's go over to the first one here and do some color correction to it. Now the clip actually looks quite decent, but if we take a look down here, it's going to be a little bit grainy down here because it's overexposed at this point here of the tree here, and the exposure is not properly set, and there's also some halo effects around the branches here, which you might be able to see on the screen. So we need to adjust some of that, and to do this easily, we're just gonna add a color preset original, and then we're just gonna use the levels here, and the levels, they basically work as an S-curve. So you have the shadows down here, the highlights up here, and the midtones is gonna be down here. So you sort of make an S-curve, sorta. If you use the Premiere Pro or Final Cut Pro or DaVinci Resolve, you would get the hang of this pretty easily, and understand that or see and get the feeling of that the middle part here is basically what's creating that sort of S-curve. Anyway, so what we're gonna do here is to just take the shadows and pull a little bit up just to create some of that cinematic fade here, and we're gonna take the midtones, pull a tiny bit down, and we're just gonna drag the midtone towards the shadow side. And as we can see now, just by doing some minor adjustments, we have a little bit less halo effect to the branches on top there, and we have an overall better looking image. Once you get to a point where you are happy, stick with that and then do some pre-renders. Watch it on your iPad, watch it on your TV, watch it on your iPhone. If the image looks the best on your iPad and your iPhone, then go with that look, because that's what the majority of people are using to watch the content. So mainly their phone. So if everything is looking good on your phone, then your phone is basically your standpoint for the color correction and adjustments to color. So now we're done with the levels, and for the brightness, if we push this a tiny bit up, we will get some more cinematic fade, and the same with the contrast. We can pull that down, and we can take the saturation and pull down, and the vibrance up, or the other way depending on the look that you want. So if we pull the vibrance up or the saturation up, you're gonna see that we have some blue color on the tip of the branches here, and I'm not really a fan of that, so I'm gonna take the vibrance a tiny bit down here, and we can go down to shadows. We can add some more shadows to it, and we can take the highlights and we can bring a little bit down. And as we take the highlights down, you can see the difference in the sky here and around the branches as well. So you might want to take this a tiny bit down if you film up towards the sky, just to make the image look a little bit clearer and better. When it comes to the highlight option here, you can also do somewhat the same with this, but working with the highlight amount here is probably a better option. The next step is to move over to gamma, and you can increase or decrease the gamma just to make that finishing touch to it. So I think we're gonna pull it a little bit down and add some more warmth into it, and then a little bit more reddish, and I think we have something that looks good right there. And this is before and this is after. So we definitely had some improvements to the GoPro Hero 10 footage here by doing some basic color correction in LumaFusion. Now we could also add a LUT here. There's so many different LUTs that I have here, and we could go with something like this one, and that's way too oversaturated and way too orange. But if we just take the blend mode here and pull it a little bit down to around 90, we can see now this is a before, this is with the color correction, and this is with adding a little bit of more color to it, a little bit more of that teal and orange, depends on the look that you want. So it's all up to, you know, whatever look that each individual finds appealing is you know, different to everybody. So in my opinion, this looked actually pretty good. So we have the next one here as well, which we could copy the color grading and apply to this image, but if we do that, you can see it looks a little bit flatter, and it doesn't look that great. So this is before and this is after, and you know, this actually turns into a tutorial for some reason. Anyway, so let's delete the color grading there, and I'm just gonna apply a new one here. So we have the color original preset from LumaFusion here, and I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna add some, take the shadows and pull up a little bit. I'm gonna take the mid-tones here and just pull a tiny bit down and drag it towards the shadow side, and right there I think we have something. So this is before, this is after, and this is also something that you can do to make it look better, or yeah, betterish in an instance. So you don't really have to do that much more if you want to have the natural look of the GoPro color. This is also shot in the natural color profile, if I didn't say that already. Anyway, so here we have the first correction here. So let's go on and take the brightness just a tiny bit up. Contrast, we can take a tiny bit up to around 106. Saturation and vibrance, depending on the look that you want. So we're gonna just pull this a tiny bit up. We're gonna take the highlights again, just take a tiny bit down here, not too much, because we want the smoke here, or the fog. This is actually fake fog. Yeah, more about that in the behind the scenes video. And the shadow amount, we can take a tiny bit down, just to pop some of those shadows a little bit more. And this actually is a little bit cooler than the previous one. So we're gonna add some more yellow into the image as well to make it look a little bit better and make them sort of blend a little bit more together. So we're gonna take the red and increase towards the red side as well. And the gamma, we can pull just a tiny bit up here. And this is before and this is after. And this looks a whole lot better than the original one, of course. And I think we have removed most of that grain as well. So actually, I'm gonna leave it like that. So this looks pretty good. So now we have this one is done. So we have two done now, and we're gonna move over to the last one. And since these two shots here, this one and this one, is fairly similar, we're gonna copy the effect from this one and paste that over to this one, and voila, we have a perfect result right away. So this is before and this is after. We could add a LUT here as well to make some different color changes to the, we could make the green a little bit more orangish, or we could just keep it like this. In my opinion, this looks really nice. So I'm just gonna take the highlights here, or the brightness I mean, and just pull to something like that, and we are done with this. So now we have this one and we have this one, and The last one here is a little bit different, but if we go over to that and copy and paste the same color grading here, it's going to track the dominant motion again because we already applied the stabilization to this. So after we add some color correction or copy some presets from all the clips and apply to that, you will have this track motion again. But as we can see, it looked pretty awesome right away. So this is before and this is after, and this is just more of that natural look to the GoPro. You bring more of that natural look back without mixing it too much with different colors and so on. So if you want to apply some that typical teal and orange or whatever look that you're after, if you want more desaturated greens and more popped oranges, you might have to create that LUT in something like Affinity Photo or any other 3D LUT maker, or make it on your computer, your Mac, and then import that LUT over to LumaFusion. But if we add one here, this is actually the DJI FPV LUT. This is the DJI FPV Punch. You can see how oversaturated and not good looking this image is looking right now. But if we just take it a tiny bit down here, just to make some of those colors pop a little bit more to 92, we have the before, and then we have the after, and then we have a subtle additional pop to the colors here. So here we have 3 different clips now, and if we just play those through here, so actually at the beginning here, when we have the sun coming in, you can see the tearing in the image and it doesn't look that good. So here's another tip right around here. I want to cut this because I don't want that in the image. So now it starts right here instead of a little bit earlier where we have the sun coming in, because it does something with the image, especially the sensor of the GoPro, and makes it look super weird. So make sure to cut away those parts. So now we trim this down a tiny bit as well, so we have this being a little bit shorter, but that doesn't matter. You don't have to have all the same clips in the same length. So the first 3 clips here are basically sort of the same length. We have 320 and we have 311 and 314, so we trim this last one down a little bit more. Now let's move over to some other shots here, and let's import some more before we start creating that cinematic sound design with the epidemic sound. So we have some clips here. We can take this for example, and if we go to the point where this is stable enough, so around here, and we're just gonna go a tiny bit here to around here maybe, and we're gonna slow this down as well, like that. And if we now play through this one, we have a really nice looking, we can actually extend it a little bit more. We can see the smoothness of this shot as well. There is some wiggling going on to the camera, so I'm gonna extend it just some more here to see if I can find a point where there is less of that. You can actually see it here on the tree side right there. So if we do a playback here, we're gonna find a point which is fairly stable, and we can actually just cut it here, and we can cut the clip, let's see here, around here. I'm just gonna delete that sound, and we can add some stabilization to this as well to see if that helps with the other or with the issues that we had here on the tree line to the left. Then I'm gonna just go over to this and create a new preset here, which is GoPro 10. Save that, and now that I saved this as a new preset, stabilization preset, I can select the image right here and go over to the preset section, tap on the stabilization, and I can tap on GoPro 10. So now this will have the same stabilization settings as the one before here. So if we tap on play now, you can see if we added and removed some of those shakes which we had here on the left side, and we did. So there's less shakes on the left side now, but I just want to trim away the last part here. And now let's move over to grading, and I think we can use some of those other gradings to this as well, but I want to make it separate. I want to make it a little bit different. So we're going to do the same thing here. I'm going to pull down the highlights, maybe not that much, and we're going to take the shadows, pull up, and like that. And we're going to take the highlights here and pull a tiny bit down, not too much, and the shadows we can actually pull up a tiny bit. I'm going to add some more film fade to it. Brightness is going to go up, and the midtones tiny bit down. Contrast, I want to pull this tiny bit down, and let's go over to gamma. Bring the gamma, oh, let's see here, actually want the gamma to be somewhat there. And now we're gonna apply another LUT here, and I think not that one. Let's see if we can find another LUT. So this one maybe. That's way too much teal and orange, but we're gonna add some, actually take this one instead, maybe. No, this one, that one. I'm just gonna add a little bit of LUT to it, so we have something that looks like that. And I want to make this a little bit more yeah, what's the word, crisp. Let's see, we're gonna take the shadows, highlights up a little bit more, shadows a little bit down. I want to make it a little bit crispier is the word. Something like that. And brightness tiny bit up. So here we have the before, after correcting, and then applying the LUT. So before, or this is before, this is after, so we get a little bit more of that cinematic look to it as well. So now we have these 3, 4, 5 clips here, and let's just go on and start with some sound design, because we also want to make the video with the music. You can also find the music first, and then you can edit the video to the music, and then you will have a basic standpoint of how to make your videos, if you understand, because then you already have the beats to go from. Or you can just finish up everything, like you finish up the entire sequence, then you apply the sound effects, and once the sound effects are applied, then you apply or then you add a subtle background track from high drones, low drones, or anything like that, which is sort of driving the video, but the main focus of the video is the visuals and the sound effects, which is the main video in, yeah. Anyway, I think you understand. So let's move over to Epidemic Sound here, and I've dragged this over to the right side here, so it's easier to, you know, search and drag everything up to LumaFusion. So there is a track that I've been using before, which is quite suitable for something like this. So I'm gonna tap on the 3 lines here, and then I'm gonna go over to downloads, and here I also have a lot of different sound effects. Let's see here, we have forest, we can download that, just tap and download. And we have birds, do the same, just tap and download. And some wind, and we're gonna download these. Let's see here, ocean, and you can also tap and listen to them as well. So this is sort of an atmospheric sound, a space sound, which could be useful as well. So I'm gonna download that one, and let's do the other to actually listen to them. And this one is sort of the same as the first one, so but we're gonna take that anyway as well. It's better to have more than you need because it's, and we can take that, some birds. But Epidemic Sound definitely has a variety of different sound effects which you can really customize and use as a sound design to make them blend in together and create something really unique. Now let's just go over and find something we can use as a background track. So this one is going to be our choice. So now we have downloaded everything here, and if we go over to the download section up here, we can see all the different files here. So what we can do now is to you can tap to get into the files folder, and we can go to list and kind and date. And once we go to date, we can see all the sound effects here, which we downloaded, is listed on top. So now we can just select all of them, and we can tap hold, and we can go over to LumaFusion and just drop them in there if we want to do it that way. So now we're done with Epidemic Sound for now, and we now have all the different sounds listed here on the left side here. So we're gonna just multi-select all of them and just do like that and drag them over to our timeline. So now we have all the different sound effects here and the background music as well. So the background music is this one right here. So I'm gonna drag that to the beginning, and we can mute the sound effect. And if we do a playback of this now, we have this at the beginning. So if we add some sound effects here as well, so we have the first one is going to be obviously birds. So I want to have a cut there. I'm going to drag this to the beginning. Delete this last part here, and we can add some cross dissolve here to the end of the sound effect to make it fade out. We can also do that to the beginning, and we can do that to the music track here as well, which we want to use. So just drag that out, and we can end it right here. And we have some other sound effects here, so let's listen to these. So this one is actually a better fit to the beginning, so we're going to take this, which is in the beginning here, and just drag that over here and extend it like that, and just trim it down, go to the beginning and do the same with this. And we have this one here, which is a little bit more, you know, it's a little bit more alive. It's not that dark, if you know what I mean. It's a brighter sound effect of birds here. So we're gonna just take the first part, just put it down here, add cross dissolve to the beginning, and just extend that. You can add the cross dissolve to the video as well, just so it fades in like that. Make sure that these are at the beginning. So now we have the video coming in, and we have these sound effects, and I want this to end a little bit after this clip ends, which is basically taking the sound effect and then bringing it over to the next clip. So just trim this down a tiny bit here, and now we have something in progress here. So this one is also a little bit dark and sort of moody, and then we get over here, it's a little bit brighter, and then we get over here. So for this one, I'm gonna use the same track here of sound effect of the birds, and I'm just gonna drag this over like that. And I think, let's see, did we have more? Yeah, we had a few more here, so let's listen to this. That's the atmospheric. Same with that, delete that one. And so we can use these two here. We're gonna take and just move them a little bit closer. So we have this dark drone, and I'm gonna actually, since I'm not gonna put more tracks on the top layer here, I'm gonna take this one and drag on top and just trim it down and place it here and there. And we're gonna add a cross dissolve here at the end. And I'm also going to do that to the beginning, so we don't get that clipping in the audio, which sometimes happens. So now we have that drone sort of atmospheric vibe to these darker, moody clips here. So if we do a playback, we will have that coming in as a more mysterious type of vibe, which is definitely sounding awesome. I'm gonna trim it down a little bit more so it fades a little bit more here earlier, like let's see here, we're gonna take this over there and take this there, and I'm also gonna lower the audio here, so I'm gonna go over to the graphic equalizer here and just drag these down. I want to make it a little bit darker. I don't want the treble to be too high here. So if we now listen to that, the sound is a little bit too high, so I'm gonna take the gain, pull it down to around 11. Perfect. So now we have the birds here as well, and at the end here, I'm just gonna take this down there, and we have the last sound effect here. I'm gonna trim this a tiny bit, and they're gonna drag this over here and then just make a cut here at the end. So also cross dissolve to these two like that, and there's a lot of cross dissolve, or I use a lot of cross dissolve when I manage the audio in LumaFusion. So let me know down in the comment section below if you also use cross dissolve to manage your audio and to make it sound better, or have a better start and beginning and ending to the audio, because I find these or this to be quite nice actually, and this is actually something, like I said, that I use all the time. So now we have most of this this done actually for the first part here. So let's just do a playback and let's see. So there we have just a tiny sequence with 5 clips here, made in LumaFusion with some sound design from Epidemic Sound. We have a music low drone track, and we have some cinematic sound design, and we create a different vibe to the video. So if we would have taken all the different clips here and just copy these, just copy everything here, and let's go to the end and paste these clips, we have a video that looks like this. So that is looking, it's looking good. The quality could be better if it was filmed in proper lighting. So for a GoPro camera, it all comes down to lighting. The better lighting you have, the more light you have, the better the footage is going to be. So let's the first thing I want to add now is a cinematic bar here, just to make the first sequence here complete, and I'm just gonna keep it like that. So if we go to this one again, the last one, and do a playback of that, it looks good, but not great. So if we go to the beginning, the first sequence which we created as well, and do a playback of that, it looks a whole lot better than the last one. Of course, because we've done everything that we needed to do to it. We did some cinematic sound design, we added some color grading, and it basically looks better. Simple as that. So it's important to add some sound design, and it's important to color correct the GoPro footage, because right out of the box it's not looking the best if you are creating cinematic video. So this is something that you would definitely need to do. So yeah, I'm not sure if we're gonna manage to do more, because this camera has been running for 45 minutes already, and I'm not sure how long this video is going to be, but I think we're gonna end it there. And for me, it turned out to be more of a tutorial than a edit, because you know, if I'm gonna do the edit, I think I need to do the edit and then just put on some cinematic relaxing music, and then you see what I do, because you know, talking you through everything, it has to be a breakdown, and I simply cannot do it when I edit the videos. So I'm just gonna finish up this video and upload it in a couple of days, hopefully maybe a day, depending on you know, the time. But anyway, make sure to grab the footage down in the description below, the free trial to Epidemic Sound if you haven't checked them out yet, and footage down there. And thank you to Epidemic Sound for sponsoring today's video. And yeah, that's basically gonna be it. So hopefully you learned something about grading and putting things together in a sequence. That's gonna be the end for today. Let me know down in the comment section below what you think of this this video, and if you would see, you know, a full video where I edit a complete sequence from a 2-3 minute sequence from beginning to end. It's not gonna be, you know, I will most likely not be talking in that video, because for me that's, you know, it's destroying my creativity when I edit the videos. That's usually something that I don't do. So yeah, it's been, yeah, I'm just gonna end the video there, and I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to hit that subscribe and like button, like for the algorithm, and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this in the future. Really hope that you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching, and I'll see you